Okay, we're going to clean these carbs, and this time we're going to take this bank completely apart and strip them down to the smallest component. Welcome to Urban Monk TV. Okay, so let's review how we got here. We've already taken these carbs and taken all the jets and everything out of the bottom end of them and cleaned them up, but we didn't separate the bank of carbs. We didn't break them down into each individual carb and clean them that way. Why? Because of the information I've read online about the fuel rail, which is, these three parts right here that deliver fuel across all four. The consensus online is with these GS550 carbs or these particular Mikuni carbs that if you separate those, you won't be able to use those parts again, and they weren't leaking before, but then since then, they were leaking and then they weren't. It's been a journey with this fuel rail. And now I went ahead and installed them on the bike, and we've got number 3 cylinders not even firing, and number 2 seems to be possibly a little fuel starved. So I'm just going to break them down entirely, and I bought an ultrasonic cleaner, and we will get these things working and get them back on the bike. So we'll do this as a time lapse and try to speed things up a little bit. Another thing I want to mention real quick, a couple of videos that I've been having fun watching and want to just do a shout out to a couple of folks. One, thanks to Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions. He did a shout out for my channel. He is now breaking down a Ducati 900, and that's a fun series, so he's kind of just getting rolling with that. I think he's got 3 or 4 episodes at this point, and rebuilding the top end. He's got some scoring on the inside of the bores on the cylinders. So kind of fun to watch. And then the other one is Around on a Bike. Anders has started to break into a CB650 that he owns. And I know there's a lot of CB650s out there, at least there is in the United States, that it seems to be an overlooked motorcycle for whatever reason, but there's a lot available, and I don't see a lot on YouTube in regards to doing a project with one. So the CB series is certainly a very reliable, very fun, very interesting group of motorcycles. I've worked on a CB 900 in the past and really enjoyed working with that engine. And I would like to get another CB, probably a 750 in the future, but I also really like the GL 1000 and have a soft spot in my heart for that and really want one. So, there's a couple of shout outs for some good guys that are doing some really good work on YouTube, so check it out.
Okay, run into a little bit of a snag here. I want to take this throttle linkage assembly off, and someone has beavered up the head on this screw quite well. I can get a bite on it a little bit, but it's in there very tight. So what I'm going to try to do is use my impact driver, but you know, when I go hammering down on this whole bank is going to have to be held pretty well, and even then I'm hammering into this body, so I need to support it down here because this is where the force is going to go in. It'll drive right through all of this, and I just don't want to damage this assembly. So a little tricky. Okay, so I've mounted it in my vise here where I've got pressure pretty much on that frame rail, if that makes sense. But I want to be right here, but then the carbs don't stay there. But as I'm hammering it will. So gentle at first. There, I got it. Okay. What I'm trying to do is get this screw out here. Before I pull them apart, what's different about them? How do we identify 1, 2, 3, and 4? 1 has no vacuum ports on it whatsoever. 2 has a atmospheric pressure port, but no other port on it, and of course has a fuel rail going both sides. 3 has a fuel rail going both sides, but has no atmospheric pressure port, but instead has a vacuum port for the fuel petcock on the gas tank. So 3 has a difference. 4 is the only carb with an atmospheric pressure port that has only a single fuel rail inlet plugged on the other side. So that's what I need to know to put this back together. Now I can take them apart. And this is the fuel rail part that everybody says you'll never get to seal again if you take them apart. Well, I have done it, so we'll see what I can do about these. Now, number 3 was the one that I wasn't getting fuel in that cylinder, so I'm going to start with this guy and focus on him first. Notice the 3. of corrosion and stuff stuck there. That's supposed to slide out easy. It didn't. Pretty convinced my problem lie with this jet running through this circuit, which goes down to this air and then leads up into here, through here, and you eventually get a little bit of fuel coming out of a tiny hole at the bottom in here during idle. It's the idle circuit, and I feel like I was quite clogged up here. 15 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner with that Berryman's Chem Dip seemed to do a good job. You know, I put parts like this in there too. This choke was all corroded, and 15 minutes just cleared everything right up. I put all these small little parts in there, and essentially they're cleaned from the inside out. So I'm going to put this back together. Oh, and then when I was done, I just sprayed these passages out with carb cleaner. Now, there is a little hole right here at the bottom of the bowl that leads to this chamber, in which this tube goes down and draws gasoline up into one of our circuits. So I'm going to put this bowl through the ultrasonic cleaner also to make sure that I got that cleared out. But, you know, alternatively, you can put carb spray in here, and if it comes shooting out of here, you're clear. Okay, done with number 3. Repeat all of those steps for 1, 2, and 4. So as we're putting back together, here are those fuel rail components that were, you know, so much talk about these in past videos on my carburetors. So now we get a closer look at them. They are, you know, a metal tube, looks like brass, with some sort of plasticized rubbery coating over them. And the consensus online, few posts that I've read, is that, you know, these things get hard and dry up and then don't seal, as these O-rings are just kind of part of the coating. But there's a workaround here. Permatex number 2 is a fuel resistant gasket sealer, and I'm just gonna put a thin coating around those O-rings of number 2 here, and we should be fine. Oops, missed something between 3 and 4. This pin holds a spring for the throttle assembly. Whoops. This has got to go inside of this hole behind this assembly, so I got to loosen these up again. Might be able to just sneak it in there. I don't know. Let's see if I can. There we go. Good.
Okay, thanks for watching. Quick update on the situation at home. I might be able to get a little bit more frequency in my videos in the coming months, because some bad news for those of you that are following along with my family story. The transplant that we were hoping for in January has been delayed, and so my wife is on dialysis, and it is keeping us going, but you know, I should have some more time to do some videos, and we're optimistic and we'll press on. Hey, if you like what I'm doing, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to become an urban monk, subscribe. Thanks for watching.